What we're going to do with this Alexander's star is to just lubricate it. When I first got this puzzle, I felt that I was going to break it every time I turned it. So this, what you see now, is much better than what I had. All I did was to lubricate it, so I'm going to show you exactly where to do that. So what we want to do is, if you look here, just in that join, I can sort of pull that apart a little bit, and there's, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little gap down there. That's where we're going to lubricate it. So any old lube will do, I suspect. I've just got some Lubix stuff here, so I can pull them apart, just throw a little bit of that down there. Try not to get it on the pieces, wipe it around a little bit. That'll do for now. And when we put that back, we'll just see what it does. It'll help all of these faces here. Now, if your Alexander star is anything like what most Alexander stars are like, that may well help you out. This one's still a little bit tight. This one's beautiful. That's the kind of thing it can do. So that might be the first thing to do, is get a little bit of lubricant out and start lubricating. I haven't lubed all of this properly yet, so mostly it's turning well. We'll leave it as it is for now, and we'll go ahead and start solving it. Alright, well, the first thing to do is to understand what it's supposed to look like at the end. If you look straight down, as if your eye's looking down onto that face there, you have to ignore these pieces entirely and just concentrate on those ones there. You can see that there's a green and a green here. These other three also need to be green as well. That's one face solved. And so when we've got that on every face, we have a solved Alexander's star. And the trick, or the problem, is getting confused with these pieces here. So the way I'd like to start is firstly get one face with all whites. Now, what it means is that I can just find a face which has got some whites. Maybe if one's got two whites, like this one, I'll go with that one there. White, green, and white, yellow. So I'm going to place a few more whites over here. I can see that this white blue, I could bring it over here just with sort of your simple kind of moves. In this case, I can just turn that straight round, and that's solved that one there. What have I done? White, blue, white, yellow, white, green, so I need white, orange, and white, red. So this white, red can come up here, and I just want to turn it up, but I'm going to push that one out the way first so that it can turn into place. What's the other one I need? White, orange. Here it is. So once again, I'll put it there, turn it out the way, put the orange in, and bring it back. And now if I look down on that face, you can see that that white face is solved. Very, very simple to do that. Now you'll also notice there's still other white pieces. So obviously with this version there are, I've got to have a white on this face, and I've got to have a white face over here opposite it. And that's very helpful when we start solving it. Well, now that we've solved those 5 white pieces, we want to look at these ones here. And the first one to think about is this one. To get the colour of this piece here, I need to just realise that if that and that are opposite faces, this is the central part. And so the colour of that piece there must be the same as the colour of that piece there. And you can see that that's the blue of the blue-white. So that side needs to be blue. What about this side? Well, hold it like this. Here's my central corridor. What's over here? Orange. So that means I need to place a blue, orange here. So let's find one. There's one sitting fairly close. So we'll just turn that around until it's somewhere in the vicinity. And we know that the white, this was the piece here that needs to be blue-orange. I also know that if I was turning that blue-orange up at the moment, it would be incorrectly oriented. It would be orange-blue. So when that happens, I simply turn it down like that, and then turn that up, and now when I turn it up, it will be correct. So the easiest way that I've found is just to turn my desired piece off, turn down its position, put my desired piece on, and turn the position back up. And that blue-orange is now correctly placed. And you can tell that just by looking at that colour and seeing that they're both blue, and so that's correct. Same with the orange. So that's the first piece. I'm just going to move around here. The next piece, again, I'll look at this and that and say that that's got to be red because that's red. This one here, that has to be green because that's green. So red, green is what I'm looking for, and here it is here. So I'll firstly put it into its position and think when it turns up, will it become red-green on the left? No, it'll become green-red. So that means I'll turn it off a little bit and over to that position, and now it's in the correct orientation. So turn it down, move its position, turn it up, and place it. So the problem with the Alexander's star is that I've just placed these two pieces, but you wouldn't have a clue. There's no way to know it apart from checking the opposite corners. And so even when it's solved, it's not going to look particularly solved, but we'll keep going. This one here, orange, yellow, orange, yellow. So it's actually this piece here, but it's inverted. Do we have another one nearby? We don't. So what we'll do is just take that one out in the same sort of way that we'd be putting one in. So now we've got the orange yellow. It's got to go back here, but it's got to be inverted, so we'll just do the same thing, move it onto that face there, and now push it out the way, position down, piece on, in. Next one, green, blue. Let's try and do this one a little bit quicker. There it is here, green, blue, so it needs to come over here. So in this case I can just do a simple kind of edge piece series where I'm turning that to there, then I'll replace it with this piece, and return that, and complete. And that's now 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces done. All the whites are still intact, and our last piece is a yellow, red. So again, this side, looking at the opposite face there, is yellow. This side, looking at the opposite face, is red. So yellow, red, where does that live? There's a couple of them down here, so I'll turn that up to the vicinity first. It's also very, very easy to get lost, but I've managed to turn it up into the exact correct position here. So I want to turn it up there, so I'm going to firstly move it out the way, turn the position down, and place it in. Now that's fantastic, and the second check that you can do is you can now look at this face, and if you notice, as an example, running down here, I'll just put the eyes there, those two pieces are yellow. That's the beginning of a yellow face there, and so these three would need to be made yellow as well. In the same way, I've got two greens here which are the beginning of a green face, two reds, two oranges, and two blues. So everything's looking pretty good. So what we want to do now is turn it upside down and pretend that we've done the lower face, and remember that that's those 5 pieces and these 5 pieces, and so the next thing is to do these central corridor pieces. Now I won't do every single one of them. I'll take you probably through the first couple, probably through the last couple, because they're all done in the same way. So what we want to do is choose one of these pieces. Let's start with this one here, and again, because I've got these 5 pieces and the white ones done, I choose this one, and I know that this white orange is correct, so that tells me that that must be the same colour. That colour there is on the same plane as that piece, so that's got to be orange, and this one is on the same plane as the green. That's got to be green. So always remembering that's the bottom, orange green needs to go here. So we locate an orange green. There it is. We just consider whether that's in the correct orientation. I think it is, and because we haven't done any of them, we can just turn that straight down into its position, and as a check you can look at it and say oranges, greens, done. I'm going to go around this way, always remembering that that's the bottom, so that's got to be kept there. What's this one? Again, looking at these colours, that has to line up with that colour, so we've got to have a blue, red. So it's this piece in a different orientation. I've got one up here, so I'm going to replace it with one that's up here, and this is good because this is in the correct orientation now to be turned around. Now I can't just turn it around, because if I do, I'll push out this green, was it the green yellow? No, sorry, the orange green here. I'll push that out, I think. Let's have a look. It's that piece there that I want to do. And this is where it does get a little bit tricky. No, I'm not going to push this out because I'd put that on the correct side first. Okay, crisis averted. So I can just turn that, and I now have those two pieces in position. I will do a third one here. Very difficult to see unless you look along the planes that you're actually making progress, because there's no way that that looks like it should be solved. Anyway, let's do one more here. This one, I'm going to look down and see that, again, this is my bottom face. So I'm seeing that there's a green, and then that's yellow. So green, yellow needs to go here. There's a green, yellow. So I want to turn that around to there. And now I can't just turn that around. If I do, I'll push out those other two pieces. So I want to use an edge piece series to do that. Any old one will do. This one's not being involved, so I can just do a cycle like that. And it will only involve those three pieces. And so the ones that we've done so far are that, that, and that. And you can see, just looking, red, red, orange, orange on that plane, green, green. So everything is looking good, and I've got to keep going around and doing the rest of these. I'll come back for the last three. Okay, we're back down to, in fact, the last two. I've just placed that yellow blue there. So we've now got to find this one here, which happens to be an orange green. So that piece is up here, and just making sure that it's on the top face so I don't disturb anything that I've already done. Orange green needs to go into that position, and it's in the right orientation here, and that one is not placed, so I can simply turn it down into that position like so. And that leaves me with this last piece here, which needs to be a blue-red piece. Needs to go there. So again, remembering this is my bottom face, I've got to place that piece. Is the blue-red on the top face somewhere? Yes, it is. It's over here. So I've got that now into the correct position, and it's also facing the right way. So that means I can turn that out, put its position up, put it into position, and place it. And so that completes all of those middle layer of pieces. So remembering now that that's the first part that I did, and I now look at this as the middle strip. How do I tell that they're done? It's actually a little bit confusing. If I take any of those middle pieces like blue-red, it's got to match there. So turning it round, if I took this one, red-orange, it's got to match there. What about this one? Orange-green. So all of that middle layer is now done, and I'm now turning to the last little bit, which is the top layer. So what I'm going to do first with the top layer is to complete 4 of these around here. And that's fairly straightforward normally, because that colour there must be white, because it's got to be opposite here. So if that's the white face, that's got to be the white face. So the only real question is, what colour is this? And so the easiest way to do that, to find that, is just simply to look at the face and see that these other 4 pieces are blue. Therefore that must be blue. Therefore that must be a white-blue piece. So if I can find it up here, I would, but I'm actually going to do the white pieces that are already on the top face. So white-orange. So I want to turn around. Here's my orange face. So I'm going to put that white there and now place it in there with an edge piece series, just to make sure that this stuff down here stays where it should be. So that's the white-orange done, and you can see now that face is complete. What else have we got? White-blue. Let's find the blue face. Here's the blue face, so we'll turn that around. So this time I'll move position up, put the piece on, put it into position. Next I can see a white-yellow up here. So there's my bottom face. Where's my yellow face here? We'll turn that white-yellow around and now put that down into its position. And that's complete. I want one more at the moment, so I've got white-yellow, white-blue, white-red and white-orange. I must have already accidentally had one of them. Okay, so our last mini stage is to solve these 5 pieces here, and that's my piece that I've kept clear. So I've got the other 4 white ones done. So what's this? Well, there's a couple of ways to look at it. It's got to be orange yellow because it's got to line up with those 2 back there. Or I could look at here and do its opposite, which is orange, and this side its opposite is yellow. So I'm looking to put an orange yellow in that position first, and it happens that I can simply turn that around to place that. Next I'll do this piece here, and again lining it up, this piece needs to be red green, like that. So the red green is in that slot, and it's got to come up with red on this side. And so as long as I perhaps turn position, put the piece in there, and then complete all 4 moves, I've now got red green in that position. This piece here, this one needs to be in the same way. This needs to be a green blue. So green blue's got to go there, and green's got to go on the back. And so I've got the green blue that needs to turn around. It's correctly oriented, and I can use this as my 3rd piece. So I'm going to firstly push that out the way, turn its position, push it back, and replace. And that now completes that green blue, and that'll leave us with 3 pieces. So let's have a look and see what's going on with these 3. The orange blue there is in position. What I do have is, by the looks of it, the white green that needs to come to here, and the red yellow that needs to come to here. Excellent. We have the, I guess it's the parity situation where we have these 2 pieces that need to swap. Now if you didn't have this, it's a very, very simple 3 cycle. It's just the last 3 pieces will be in some sort of 3 cycle, and you can finish them off with an edge piece series. But in this case we've got the parity, so we need to swap these 2 pieces. So what we're going to do firstly is to locate another piece of exactly the same colour as one of these, so either a green white or a red yellow. And both of them will happen to be down on the bottom here somewhere. So there's a green white and there's a red yellow. So I'm going to use the red yellow, and I need to bring it up into this sort of region somewhere. So I'm going to firstly turn, this is the bottom face, so I'll turn the bottom face, let's go 2 turns, and then I'll turn this front face 2 turns. Now that's my setup, and you can see now the red yellow and the red yellow and the green white are in this position. This I think is the easiest way, the least stress way I'd like to call it. I could do this in one algorithm, but probably I'll need to just do a 3 cycle or 2 at the end to finish it, but there's less to think about. So what I noticed is that the green white had to go here, and I had to get a red yellow back to here. So instead of now swapping, I can cycle the green white to there, the red yellow to here, and this red yellow over to here. The important thing is to make sure that this piece ends up being the same orientation, so that when I turn it back, it's positioned correctly. So as long as I turn the red onto the red, I'm all good. So let's carry out a 3 cycle. There we go, that's all done. I'm now going to put that red yellow back where it belonged. It was 2 turns of the front face and it was 2 turns of the bottom face, and I can check that everything is in order by looking around and saying, yep, all of those faces look good. When I come up to the top, now what I've got is the red yellow, which is in its position but it's flipped, and the same thing with the green white, in its position but it's flipped. That's not a parity situation. That just means I've got to take those 2 out of their positions with a 3 cycle and then put them back in correctly. So I'll use this as the 3rd piece. So I'm not even thinking about which 3 cycle is the best to use. I'm just taking them out and then seeing whether I can put them back in correctly. So at this stage, that red yellow needs to turn back to there. That'll place. What else can I do? The blue orange needs to turn back to here, and that will orient correctly. So those 2 are the 2 that'll just turn up and be correctly oriented. This white green, that's the one that'll turn down and be incorrectly oriented, and you can see the white and the green don't match up. And so that tells me that that's the last piece I'm going to turn. or in fact it's the last piece that's going to move. So this to here, then the white green, then undo those moves, and as we look around now, what you can see is that, again, ignoring these pieces, any face I turn to, all the colours on that face are the same. And that means, of course, that your Alexander's star is solved.